Alright, good evening everyone. Tonight is Wednesday, March 13th, 2019. This is the Finance Committee of the Town of Halifax. On tonight's agenda, mail, meeting minutes, budget discussion as may arise, water department and public participation, and then adjournment. We have no mail, we have no meeting minutes, and we'll table the budget discussion and public participation so that we can invite the water department up front to chat with us. So if you'd like to come on up front. Well, you can look at that one. You can look at that one. Hi, how you doing? Does everyone know everyone at the table? I know we've got some new folks, so.
Yes, I'd like to introduce Patrick O'Neill. He's with Taylor & Howard, an engineering company we've been using for years.
Nice to meet you. We're the Finance Committee, so we have.
I'm Bill. Bill.
I'm Melinda, the chair.
I'm Brad. Lenny.
And Secretary is Kathy. Thank
Hi.
you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay. So do you want to tell us a little bit about the, I don't know if you want to start with the project or your articles, whatever you prefer.
Yeah, why don't you take that over?
So the water department has hired Taylor & Howard to do an asset assessment of all the vertical assets, not the pipes in the ground, but all the pump station, wells, treatment plants, and not including the tank, because the tank has been recently rehabbed. So as part of that process, we go through every facility, identify all the assets, pumps, valves, treatment systems, do a condition assessment, useful life, and in that process, we can sort all the assets. And some are critical to the operation, like chemical feed. If you don't have chemical feed, you can't treat the water properly. So they're also given a ranking of criticality, and/or if they're redundant. So if you have two that are redundant, so you're not out of business if it breaks down. So all that is ranked. I don't have this to hand out, but these are all the assets. Whitecamp, Westmont Wells, and the treatment plant, and then Richmond Park. Each site has 2 wells. Richmond Park is a more advanced treatment system, including Green Sand Plus for iron manganese removal, and Whitecamp, more traditional, just chemical feed for disinfection and pH adjustment or erosion control, which is a required treatment. So we've gone through those. We're still in the process of putting in the cost and ranking, which we have to go through with the water department. But quickly into it, a couple of items rose to the top as far as needs. There's the roofs at both facilities. Richmond Park actually has an active leak over the electrical panel, which they've temporarily protected. And also the roof steel decking on the roof over the chemical feed area suffered corrosion from the chemical feed fumes over the past 40 years it's been in service. So the metal decking that holds up the roof structure is corroded and needs to be replaced, and the roof leaks. The chemical feed systems, same way. The tanks that hold the chemicals are critical, obviously. It's a hazard to the operators. There's leakage in any of the piping tanks. So most of the tanks at the facilities are very old. One in particular, Richmond Park, is borderline day-to-day as far as leaks, and it's 4,000 gallons of sodium hydroxide. So the article they're proposing, the water department's proposing now, is to take care of some of the critical components that came up during our assessment, which is the roofs at both facilities and the chemical tanks at both facilities. bring them up to current codes, current requirements of the state. So that, I think you might have gotten the letter that summarizes the two locations, budget.
I think in all of our opinions, this is getting to almost an emergency situation. Really has to be done.
So the Richmond part, that's down here?
That's off of Plymouth Street, Bill, the filter plant,
Yeah, down there.
across from the old cemetery. That's Richmond Park, the filter plant. You've been
Yeah,
there.
so far, yeah, I've been to both, but I'm just trying to make sure I understand, remember which one is which. But if I
Black
remember
was
right,
at the baseball field.
yeah, okay. So the tank, if I remember right, is enormous. Is that the same one? The big one on the
Richmond
back left?
Park tank is actually, I believe that's 4,500 gallons. It's capable of storing 4,500 gallons. But we try not to store any more than 1,000 in case we have an issue with it.
Yeah, so,
That's the big tall brown one that almost goes up to the ceiling.
yeah, the circumference is enormous too, right?
Yes.
So,
8 feet.
So would that be replaced, let me rephrase the question. Is it possible to replace that tank without removing a wall or roof anyways?
Yes.
We're gonna
They're
take it
going
out.
to take the roof off anyway, so we do have an opportunity to go out the roof, but
Crane will come in and lift it up, you know. That's probably how it was put in 1979.
Oh, sorry. You want one?
Yeah, this is the one.
Here you go.
Oh, wait a minute, that's not it.
That's the letter in the articles. Thanks.
Are these-
Those aren't labeled, but that's pictures of both facilities.
These are the tanks that need to be replaced?
What do you have here?
It's like a polymer tank?
Yes, that's cool. Are you looking for the large one?
Yeah,
That's in here. I know it is because I saw it last night. Yeah, there's called Big Brown.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
So is that included in this estimate?
Yes.
To do at the same time? Okay.
That's a 40-year-old steel.
Understood, I just
tank.
hate to do the roof now and then have to tear out
Oh,
a
yeah.
wall or roof to change the tank later.
Exactly. Yeah.
The storage barrel at the Y camp is that's 30 years old. That is plastic. Manufacturing company on that recommends you replace those every 10 or 12 years. It's 30 years old. It's time. For that one also.
In terms of the contingency budget, and what percentage are you going with on that?
10%.
Thank you.
Is that already included in the estimate?
Yeah, it's the last line.
Being new to all this, there's a lot of comments all over social media about the brown water in Halifax. I actually have a well, so. Is this going to address some of those issues, or
No,
not being familiar enough with your system? Or even where some of these people live, still learning the towns?
What is going to help that greatly is eventually a filter plant at the YMCA wells. The manganese is elevated there. This is just so we can safely operate what we're doing now. Any of these, we get chemical deliveries probably every 5 or 6 weeks. At any time we get a delivery, we don't know what's going to happen. If these barrels break, that we get a major leak in them, it's going to turn into a hazmat situation, and that well site is out of service until we can store the chemical to produce the water.
You mentioned one of the tanks is capable of 4,500 gallons.
Yes.
But you only put 1,000 in it.
Right.
Once this is corrected, I'm assuming that means more frequent deliveries. And does that impact the price of the chemical you're putting in? You're gonna be able to do anything better with bulk pricing?
We buy that, if we wanted a delivery once a week, the cost of the chemical would go up. We probably would order, once the barrels are new, we would probably, at least at Richmond Park, we would probably like to be able to store a couple thousand gallons there instead of the 1,000. Actually, usually it's under 1,000. So we use about, this time of year, we're using about 450 gallons a month. That can go up to...
So if you were to fill the tank, you'd almost get a year's supply, and the chemical would go
It's
bad.
possible, it's possible.
I think the contract does have tiered pricing, so if we order more, we'll get a little bit more off.
Well, haven't been involved in the past with some pools and some water treatment, not on this level, but I know chemicals degrade over time, so if you have the capability of almost a year's worth of chemicals, the problem is in a year's time, those chemicals will degrade.
Right. Bleach, actually, chlorine, that breaks down after a period of
Right,
time.
yeah, very quickly. Are you gonna be putting back a large tank, or a tank that's more
I
appropriate
think,
to your
what was the
usage?
plan? Couple
We'll probably do two tanks, just again for the redundancy factor. It's gonna be about the same volume because we're tied to DEP requirements, so the tanks have to be sized for a 30-day supply. And it's based on the maximum supply availability at the site, although the wells currently can't produce it. It is permitted for 1 million gallons a day, or close to. So all the facilities, including chemical feed, has to be designed to treat that
Around
water,
that.
assuming someday you get the wells back to capacity, which is another thing we're looking at. It'll be about the same range, 4,000, but we might do 2 tubes and manifold them together. Would make it easier for installation to get them through the doors versus through the roof. And on the water quality side, that is part of this study too, because it has been ongoing. The iron and manganese levels are creeping up over time. It's inevitable, so we'll do budgets within the final report for this, or piloting, department estimate for what the treatment plant will cost. And then with the water department and the board, figure out where that gets plugged in. Finance committee, bonding, and all that comes into play, and water rates, and so. But it's coming. It's the water quality.
So,
Often when we get discolored water calls, it's associated with the fire department too.
yeah.
I'm not saying all of it, but that's part of the issue.
They've had an issue, fire situation, or,
It's not that, it can be a practice, they've had a big, I guess they've had some awful trouble with the tower truck, the pumping system on the new tower truck. We try to send them down the industrial path there at Bridgewater line and use that last hydrant in there for years. Anytime the hydrant is open for any reason, it's gonna create this color water. You're not gonna get that. It's not the reason every time it's discolored, but it's part of it. It's been a little more often lately. Then we call it a drill. That's what we call it. Drilling. Combination.
do they notify you when they're gonna do that?
Yes, they do. Usually they do. Yeah, they're pretty good.
Well, because they're also taking a significant draw on your system. So I don't know how big your system is.
Oh, 51 miles in Maine.
And what, you said that
60 hydrants.
you're permitted for 1 million gallons a day. What do you actually pump? Average?
Our average is 480,000 a day.
Between both sites?
Yeah.
You have 2 wells,
We have 4 wells.
4 wells.
Actually, we're permitted for 680,000 a day. Of course, our pumping drops way off. So hopefully we can maintain that permit.
Remains to be seen.
I can't wait.
It's a battle that's upcoming, that's another issue.
So Keith, how do you, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just, it says all from your retained earnings,
Yes.
so you have that.
We have this amount.
I was gonna ask, how, given these plans, how do you feel about it being the one, and the board being the ones who see the system every day and interact with it? How do you feel about this plan in terms of taking care of some of the worst needs now and then?
We need to do this. It's a good thing. This equipment that we're dealing with, a lot of it is 30 and 40 years old. It isn't a lack of maintenance, it's just wear and tear. It's the bottom line. You buy a new car, it comes to the point where, we gotta replace it.
Yeah. So do you concur that this is that these items are the most critical to take care of right now, or is there anything else in there?
Right now, the
Okay.
commissioners believe right now,
Okay.
in Pat also believes that. We've got 480 volts that run into these buildings. We've got can be dangerous chemicals.
Yeah.
Of course, they're not dangerous when they're safely and used properly. We've got high voltage, we've got chemicals in there, we can't have roofs leaking, and it's gotta be taken care of.
Yeah.
So one of them is that is an APDM roof, the other one's a aluminum roof.
Standing seam of metal roof.
What would be the materials that are replacing that? PCM for both, or?
No, we'd stick with the metal and white,
Okay, so go for like.
and definitely the EPDM for the flat roof.
We also have to remember that this water system, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's not going to go away. We have to have this.
Is there some way to get the balance on the retained earnings?
The balance on the retained earnings is 917,000.
917?
917,000 plus. They also, in the past, would use their retained earnings to pay their debts. This year, they paid off all their debt. So their debt for the extension that they did a few years, 15 years ago, is paid off now, and they paid off the ban on the water tower. So that's not taken from the retained earnings. When I looked at the revenue last year, their water rates brought in over $1,020,000, which more than supports their budget for FY.
Their operating budget.
So their operating budget. That including the Plymouth County retirement money that they put in and towards the audit.
So they are self-funded.
Yes, they're totally self-funded, and their rates are bringing in enough to cover their operating budget at this point, and I don't see any issue with them spending more.
Like I mentioned, I'm sure you're familiar with, just recap the tank that was completed about 3 years ago now. So we shouldn't have to be spending anything on that, other than maybe some interior cleaning, maybe some exterior cleaning on it for a long, long time. And you've got that in April, which is a wonderful thing.
So the short version is this is gonna upgrade the structure and the equipment under the roof for these 2 sites, basically.
Some of the equipment, just
Some of it.
chemical feed.
Yeah.
We have the electrical systems, mainly at Richmond. There's another piece that's got to be looked at, and Richmond has pressure filters with many valves and control systems. That's another.
Okay, so it's just the chemical feed side of it.
Right.
You're dealing with. And that's been determined to be the priority within the structure. And are you going to eventually have whatever it is, a 5-year, 10-year plan?
Yeah,
that you're
we're
gonna
working on
propose?
that with the rest of the asset study. We'll lay it out, we'll work with the board and find out what it takes to see what the plan would be going forward, because there'll be more. Besides the Y camp treatment down the road, Richmond Park is going to need some more work on the mechanical system, the electrical systems. So,
I'd like to mention that a well field today is very valuable. It takes years to get permits, DEP permits for a new well field. And we all know and feel that it's worth investing money in the well fields we have now. How long would it take, Pat, to permit process?
at least 5 years, but I've done at least one that took 10 years to permit. And you're running out of room
Well, that's,
to get
yeah.
new wells in, and it's not just Halifax, it's everywhere. It's getting closed out of property, either it's in private ownership, or there's other stuff going on, contamination. So it's tough, so protecting what you have is a good investment versus leaving a site, which a lot of towns did years ago. If the iron manganese went up in a well, you just go across town and drill another one, and not have to put in the treatment. But in the past 10 years, we've probably done 15 new treatment plants for wells just like that, because you can't just abandon them anymore. They're so expensive to develop and permit. The investment in treatment is a much better approach. A lot of systems are doing that now.
Does anyone have any other questions about the report?
Is this project under the same, does this have to go out to bid? Is this just like a regular town project, like the suppression system and everything else, treated the same way?
I believe it is.
I just, because we've had a pretty miserable couple of rounds of estimates come in, not even close, so, I mean, I'm sure you're confident in it because you put it together, but have you done anything like this recently that you can base it off of, or what was the?
Yeah, in all cases, we just finished a chemical feed facility in Buzzards Bay. The chemical feed systems for that were almost the exact same size. Bulk tanks, day tanks. And so we have a bid price, for that project that we look to. And we have others that we've done recently, so. And last year I did 3 roofs on 3 pumping stations in Fairhaven. Year before that, I did a larger chemical feed facility, more the size of a Y camp, a new roof. So I have concrete bid prices that we go back to look at, to check pricing. And we do escalate, because the economy, you never know if the contractors are hungry or not, So I'm confident in the pricing. I'm glad to say I'm usually the high bidder. Find some wood to knock on, but I try to make sure, and I know how difficult it is financing and having to go back for more money. I don't want to go there, and I don't want Keith to have to go there. It's difficult, so we try to make sure there's adequate funding right off the get-go.
On record? This is a question.
A little bit post-traumatic syndrome.
I'll give you my card, you can hold me to it.
Any other questions?
For me, I have been down there, and I think I know exactly what they're talking about. I can just see, I have pictures of it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was only a couple of years ago, so I'm not surprised to see this popping up today.
Sandy, are we allowed to hold a vote on the article if it's not numbered yet?
I think you could vote to recommend it, even though there's no number on it. I don't think there's a problem with that.
Okay, then when we just get the full list, we can just,
Right.
okay. All right, so there are 2, I guess we can, well, let's take a vote on this first article, and we'll move on to the second one. To see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $520,000 from the water department retained earnings account to fund upgrades including roof replacement at the Richmond Park Treatment Plant and the YMCA Camp Chemical Feed Facility.
I just want to, that may not be the exact wording of the article.
Okay.
We're going to run that by Charlie, who's the best at making sure extra wording's in there, so,
Okay.
you know, it covers everything.
Okay.
Okay. As long as the price or scope doesn't change of the article, it
Right.
should be fine.
Right. So I'll entertain a motion on,
So moved.
Seconded.
motion a second. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay. And we'll make sure to revisit that once it's numbered and the final wording is complete. The second article has to do with the purchase and equipping a new service truck.
Yes.
Excuse me. Your liaison, Bill, have you talked about the service truck or the water
I think we
lady?
talked about it last year, maybe even the year before.
It sounds that's why I was wondering, was it
It's
something we
not-
talked about
it's not
last
new,
year?
But I have not been able to meet with Keith this year.
Okay,
We did have an email exchange, but we have enough substance to report on.
that's fine. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the kind of truck you want to purchase? And
It's actually, it's a downsized truck for the one I'd like to replace. We do so much running around in the waterworks field, back and forth from the lab in Middleborough, running around town, marking out for things, safes, reading meters, so on and so forth. Very basic work truck model. Half-ton four-wheel drive pickup truck with a utility cap on the back, to be able to carry some tools. Just an all-around truck.
What is it replacing?
2005 F-450.
What is that?
Dual wheel
Dual
diesel.
wheel.
Pickup or a dump truck? Is it a pickup or a,
The one we're gonna replace?
Replace, yeah,
No,
or is it
it's a
big utility one?
Yeah, it's a big utility body. It had a crane on the back of it, but the crane failed. And the cost they wanted to repair it was ridiculous, I thought, so we took the crane off it. Of course, we used the crane a lot over the years, and I really don't think we need a crane truck. So that's what I like to downsize, much more practical.
I presume that the F-450 was purchased, the size of that vehicle is because it was a crane truck, right?
What's it built?
The F-450 was purchased because it was originally intended to be used as a crane truck?
Yes.
That's why it was so
Yeah.
big?
That was when the town was really starting to grow and all the subdivisions were going in. You know, and back then, it's large.
And the new truck is petroleum or is it diesel?
Gasoline.
Didn't one of the trucks from one of the other departments just get a lift on it last year?
I think it was highway. It was repurposing
Forest fire.
the forest fire truck.
If we were really in a pinch, they'd use that one anyway, I suppose. For lift.
Right. Yeah, good point.
We do, like I said, a lot of what I call running around. Guys, they have to go, they have to take classes every year to get water licenses. Sometimes they're traveling up to Marlboro during the day to get credits to keep their licenses up. Sometimes Hopkinton, if we get lucky, we can go over to the Eastern Water Department and take our classes over there. Lots of running around.
What other vehicles do you have in the water department?
Actually, we have a 2007 Ford F-350 pickup, a small little dump body in the back, which is limited, but it's still a dump body. You can carry loom, gravel, whatever you like, and the body dumps. have a newer F-250 four-wheel drive with a plow on it that we just bought, I think a year now. That has a utility body on it. Very capable of carrying a lot of tools. And my truck is a 2011 F-150 four-wheel drive, 8-foot bed, basic work pickup.
Not to get sidetracked, but why is there a plow on a water department truck? Doesn't Howie own the plow?
Actually, Bill, we have trucks equipped, 3 of our trucks are equipped with plows.
Right.
The new truck we just bought, we bought a plow with that in the 2007 F-350 pickup. That has a plow. The truck that we just replaced last year, that is still at the garage. Basically, it's used as a plow truck. One of the highway guys uses it. It's a little too good to put out for salvage. Well, I have no problem. All our water trucks that have plows on them, they have a plow in town. So we plow with the highway department.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, plus we plow the pump houses up too, naturally. But, oh yeah, all our water trucks have plow routes.
Okay. Is that normal, Sandy? The reason why I'm asking is I know the plows on trucks, it destroys the front end. Is it?
It is the always heavy.
Yeah.
And the water.
I've never heard of them not.
Yeah.
That's why I was wondering why you were only buying a half ton.
Because we're not putting a plow on this one.
Clearly.
The way it looks right now, like I said, we have 3 water trucks and plows, but it looks like eventually it's going to be 2. We'll go from there.
Yeah.
It's a big help to the highway department. It really is. You're not hiring a subcontractor to come in for whatever they may get per storm or per hour or whatever. So I have no problem.
The town I come from, as well as a couple others that I've plowed for over the years, every vehicle in town had a plow on it.
Yeah. But to put a plow on a 150, if we were going to plow driveways, maybe, but not on a...
Didn't see that post then, did you?
Are you trading the old one in, or is that being repurposed somehow?
I'm not sure yet.
So that 34 is just the straight cost of it, not a trade-in?
Yes.
Including a trade-in value or anything?
Yeah.
How many miles are on the 2005?
136 maybe.
Yeah,
not bad.
but the trade-in value is gonna be.
Yeah,
What's a diesel?
We probably do better.
Yeah.
Was anybody else asking for a truck this year?
I am.
Yeah.
I've got 200,000.
No, I'm gonna get you a Kubota, and you can have.
I've got a Kubota.
Oh, that's
I've got
right,
a
we'll get you a plow.
What's the primary reason for what's wrong with the vehicle? Or is it just, it's more than just because it's too big, right?
It's getting to the point, Bill, that it isn't practical for us anymore. You know, it's a big, the maintenance on it isn't terrible. It's tires, brakes. It's got a new battery system in it. It's just a big, old, diesel guzzling truck.
Any other questions?
When will you know what you're gonna do with the old one?
I can call in the very near future and see if they'll do a trade on it. They probably won't, if I had to guess.
Well, would you just send it to an auction, I know Steve.
Well, generally, we store them at the town line.
Right.
And then every once in a while.
We get a collection of them, Sandy, and
Right.
somebody puts a bid on them.
Yeah.
I don't get involved in it.
Charlie does it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Surplus,
I was just curious.
yeah.
I guess I could check with MHQ and see, hey, we gotta, would you take it? and get a number from them on it. It wouldn't be much.
We've been doing.
I know
that.
they've come in the past on take highway trade-ins, and the salesmen have come to the garage to pick it up, and they make it down to the end of Hemlock Lane, and they turn around and drive it back and say, we need a flatbed for it, because I'm not driving it. So,
So any other questions or discussion on this one? So again, we'll revote this when we have a numbered article, but this article is to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $34,000 from the water department retained earnings account to purchase and equip a new service truck. So I'll entertain a motion on a finance committee recommendation for that article.
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or opposition or abstentions? Okay, and one last quick thing, I don't know if, Sandy and Keith, we had a memo concerning establishing a new revolving account. I didn't know the finance committees had to make a recommendation on that,
The
or if
finance
it's,
committee has to vote to approve it.
okay,
Alright,
okay,
both the finance and selectmen have to, and you
Okay.
guys haven't had a forum the
Yeah.
last couple of meetings.
Yeah.
So if you could, it's,
okay.
Kathy, do you want to just tell them what the revolving fund is for?
Yeah, we just had, a request come in about the cell tower, you know, antennas, and they want to do some work to upgrade their equipment on the tank. So there's a whole lot of work that's going into, so we sent it to Tate and Howard to take a look at. So the AT&T representative gave us some money to pay for the review. We need to set up an account to, like, you know, pay for it.
It's a revolving account, it's money in
Yeah.
and money out. It's not, not mixing the general fund. It's kept separate, similar to the planning board, the zoning board, they all have review revolving accounts. This is the first time we've needed one for water, so.
Is for something on the water tower?
We have some antennas up there, cell tower.
Yeah, I thought there was an issue with those 3 years ago when the tank was redone. And,
well, there was a big issue dealing with the Sprint AT&T for them to remove their equipment so we could paint the tank. Yeah, that was quite a battle.
This is AT&T wanting to upgrade their equipment, but we need to make sure that it's not going to go down to our tower. So that's why we're having our engineer review the plans before they do any work.
okay.
And actually, AT&T is paying for that also.
Right. They pay for the
They're paying for
review.
that, it's not costing us a penny.
Right.
Okay, so what's this revolving account intended?
So because it's our engineer who's reviewing it, we need to pay, but we get the money from AT&T. AT&T pays us, and we pay the engineer. Because we don't want AT&T paying the engineer, because then it's more like they're working for AT&T. We want to make sure they're working for us. So that's why the money has to come into us, and then we'll pay the
Okay.
engineer.
So is this a temporary revolving account or?
It probably doesn't hurt to leave it on the books in case we have anything like this in the future.
Okay.
But it'll only,
But it
it'll only be
bring in
for
enough, yes.
the water tower cell antennas, that
Right.
type
It
of
will be
thing.
used just for that.
You're not gonna use it to buy tires for his new truck.
Absolutely not.
No, maybe the plow.
No, the town accountant is definitely here to make sure that doesn't happen.
Sandy, if Sprint doesn't upgrade, which I'm assuming they may.
Yeah.
Because they,
Right.
would this
The
also
same thing would
cover
apply.
Sprint?
Then Sprint
Because
would
I
have to
expect to be hearing
pay.
from them.
Right, so then Sprint would give you a check that we would put in the revolving.
Okay,
Would ask to
okay,
take a
so it'll be the same fund?
Right, same fund.
All right.
Yeah, so this isn't just a fund for AT&T, it's to establish a particular line that we can then use for these kinds of repairs, so it's a,
Right, it's what's called a special revenue account. It's a revolving fund just for this purpose.
so the,
Did the selectmen vote on it?
They've already voted and approved it.
So I can entertain a motion for the finance committee's recommendation for the establishment of revolving account for the water department.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Okay. There's just one more thing, we might as well do while we're here is, as you know, Keith, we've been going through and voting, all of the lines that are level funded or decreased, and we have a couple lines in your, budget that are level funded that we had voted on, so if you don't mind, we'll just take a minute or two and vote those lines now, if that's okay. We're still not voting any of the wage or personnel lines because of wage and personnel. But if folks want to look at their budgets for a second for me, line 97, water insurance. It's a level fund request over fiscal year 19 for $60,579.
What's the R mean again, Cindy?
We recommended.
We voted.
Those are our votes.
I think we had a question, I think we didn't vote on this one before because of the jump from 18. I think it was a gap between the 18 voted and 18 expended, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
Because it was 23, then it was 43.
yeah,
It was voted in 60, and then we only spent 35, almost 36.
Yeah.
So I think we were just curious at the time why ask for 60.5 when we haven't come anywhere close to that?
That's level funding.
Level funded based on voting, though, right? Not the
Right,
expenditure.
level funding based on what they've asked for in the past. They
Yep.
get their insurance numbers from Charlie and they really don't
Yeah.
know what to expect. Charlie hasn't come forward to say, you know, this is what we expect. So basically, they're just asking for the same thing they've asked for every year. I could ask Charlie to come in. Charlie, run in.
On the liability and general insurance, I just got the quote in the last 24 hours from that, it should be flat. So you shouldn't see an increase. Now, I know I haven't billed them for the year we're in now, but I can tell you that this, whenever I bill them for this year, should be approximately the same as I bill them for next year.
All right, well, last year, in FY 18, they paid 35,000.
Almost
Do
36.
you, yeah, almost 36.
It should be roughly in that.
All right, so you think that they could drop their request, right now they requested 60,000? But that's their insurance line. I think that-
That includes health insurance. That probably includes health insurance, yeah.
So, I mean, I'd be more comfortable just leaving it there, it just goes back into their retained earnings, it's not,
Okay.
so, but just because with health insurance, you know, it depends on if someone picks it up or.
It is, we just got not as much water, but Linda's seeing an increase, Nicole was the assistant treasurer, seeing an increase in other people taking accounts health insurance. As much as the health insurance rates only go up and year in, we're seeing more people, so the actual increase is going to be more than one now.
Okay.
You know, water power only has 3 people, so
Right.
either taking or not taking it is
Okay. If it goes back into retained earnings, I don't see the harm. We'll look at it.
I'm of the same opinion for line 101 as well, so I'm inclined to make a motion for both. I'll make a motion to approve both lines 97 and 101 in the amounts of $60,579 and $13,750 respectively.
I'll second both motions.
Motion and a second for lines 97 and 101 at level funding over FY19. Any further questions? All those in favor? Aye. Okay. That's all of our sort of housekeeping for now. Keith, is there anything else you have for us or need from us?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming in. We appreciate it.
I'm sure you'll be seeing more of the water department in the future. A little bit at a time.
That's
good.
5-year plan.
Yeah.
Culminating in the filter plant, that one's gonna be a fun one.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Very nice to meet you. Thank you.
Rough night.
Yeah.
You too. Take care.
So if still have a little time, but folks, if you want, we can press on through some of the other lines that are level funded or decreased, and just sort of keep filling in. There's not a ton more that we haven't done, but if you want, we can make some headway while we're not too tired. But again, leaving out any of the wage lines. How would everyone feel about that?
Sorry, Melinda, it's like a tap dancing fence. What is it that we're looking at?
I was gonna
Level
say-
funded and
I was
no
gonna- yeah.
reductions except for wage lines.
You're right. So if that sounds good, maybe we can just keep pressing forward for a little
Sure.
bit, and it'll just make a little bit less work for us later on. All right. So let's start. I'm looking from the top. We have line 7, town hall electricity. FY20 request is 17,700. That's a decrease over FY19.
I'll make a motion to approve item 7, town hall electricity in the amount of 17,700.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Line 9, audit. Sandy, this is,
This is a contracted price.
okay, yeah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so the request is for $25,500, which is a decrease over FY19.
I will make a motion to approve line 9 audit in the amount of 25,500.
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Just going down the list. All right, line 23, treasurer expense account, a level fund request of $6,500.
I will make a motion to approve line 23 treasurer expense account in the amount of 6,500.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Line 24, collector expense, a level fund request of $14,850.
I will make a motion to approve line 24 collector expense in the amount of 14,850.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Alright, line 26, tax title treasure. I know we did we do a line item transfer last year for this?
Last year, but what you're not seeing is when we do our tax rate recap,
Yeah.
we request some money for tax title.
Okay.
So that $20,000 that they spent last year
Yeah.
included money that they got through the tax recap,
Right, okay.
which was about $17,000.
Okay, that you included on the other sheet already,
Right.
yeah. Okay.
So that's, we're paying it through money we recoup through the tax title process?
We've always, on the tax recap, when you do the tax recap, you have the ability to raise money on that like you do for the abatements and exemptions. You put in money for doing tax title work. It's something that the state allows, and it's something that
I got it.
we do.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
So I will entertain a motion to approve line 26 tax title treasurer in the amount of 5,000.
Are you entertaining a motion or making a motion?
I will make a motion.
I will second.
Did you become chair?
I don't know.
You're just practicing. That's all.
Motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
I should just have a recording so I can just fill in the blank.
All right, line 32, wage and personnel expense is a level fund request of $250.
Why is that grayed out?
Because it wasn't actually submitted by the wage and personnel department. They hadn't submitted their budget, so I filled it in. Wage and personnel is a minimal budget, and I have one of the members here, and she said it's okay, so.
Okay. I will make a motion to approve line 32, wage and personnel expense in the amount of $250.
I'll second.
Any discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alright, so that's it for that first page, page 1, on to page 2. Line 48, police expense. The level fund request is $62,485.
I don't think I ever spoke with the chief on the new budget.
Oh, that's right, he came in, it was the night you
Were
weren't there.
Did you have any questions for him or anything that were outstanding? Because this was previously an increase, so if he's moved it down, I think.
Yeah. From what, and someone else, feel free to jump in and correct me if I misrepresented the conversation. I think the chief felt comfortable that he could cover all of the expenses that he had under 62,485, because we asked if there were any potential reason he might seek an increase.
I'm fine with it if you guys are fine with it.
Unfortunately, I didn't take very good notes. He had a couple of comments on why he wanted to keep it the same, but yeah, that he was confident he was going to be able to live within that number.
Yeah.
Cool.
What you're in between songs.
I'll make a motion to approve line 48, police expense in the amount of $62,485.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Line 49, police station maintenance, level fund request of $24,100.
It's pretty much in line too, I don't have an issue with it.
We need to make a motion to have discussion?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve line 49, police station maintenance in the amount of $24,100.
I can't remember, do we have to have a second before we
Yeah.
have discussion?
Yes.
Second.
Motion second, now we can open discussion.
So does this include the expenses for repairing or replacing the HVAC, the 4 or 5 HVAC systems?
Yeah, that's what I said.
That's all been
Yeah,
done.
that's taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, we have money left over in that line.
So the station maintenance account mainly pays for their electricity, and then small maintenance items that can't be covered by building maintenance.
Yep.
So like, I think there was drafts or something like that in some of the windows or the doors?
Or it might fix like a carpet, like a piece of carpet, or, you know, like when they were trying to redo, when dispatch moved out and we were making that the receptionist area. You know, so just little money here or there.
I don't know what the.
I'm thinking of what, who's the building and maintenance guy? Steve, right?
No,
Scott.
Scott.
Scott, return.
I'm thinking of what his update, never mind.
Yeah.
All right, I'm good.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second for line 49, police station maintenance.
We did, right? That was
Yep.
discussion.
Yep, any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
I just said aye.
Okay. All right, page 3. We go down to highway. Okay, line 83, town roads, a level fund request of $74,355.
What number?
83.
83.
Is 72 a, why are we not voting that?
70, that's under schools. We could, yeah, we can vote it.
Do you think that might change, Sandy?
All right.
Does it normally?
So it was, the last time we did this budget, last time I printed this out, it was $30,000 higher. We brought it back down. They told me that they still have 2 places that they're not sure. One they're pretty sure, but one is still open. And in the past, you guys had told them to add in 30,000 to hold an open space. But where they weren't sure about that, they voted this number, which is level funded for last year, at their school committee meeting.
You
So-
still have until April 1st for
Right.
me to.
If it goes up, then we have to change it.
Sure.
But right now, I think that they're pretty confident they're gonna be able to keep it level funded. So I'd like to,
Okay.
so I took 30,000 away from them, sorry. But this is the
They
number they
voted,
voted.
yeah.
They did vote.
So we can entertain a motion on line 72, vocational education, level fund request of $244,718.
I'll make a motion to approve line 72 vocational education amount of $244,719.
I will second that motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Alright, line 83, highway town roads, a level fund request is 74,355. I'll also include line 84, highway snow and ice, a level fund request of 177,509. Line 85, streetlights, a level fund request of 27,300. Line 86, traffic lights, a level fund request of 5,500. Line 87, tree warden salary, a level fund request of $1. Line 88, tree maintenance, a level fund request of $3,500. And line 89, a level fund request of $1.
I make a motion to approve 83 through 89 as written, or stated. I will make a motion to approve lines 83 through 89 as previously stated.
I will second that motion.
Any discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Before we move forward, can we also vote on 73 and 76? I'm sorry, 73 and 76.
The debt exclusion, I assume, is not changing, right? The number? The debt exclusion for the budget.
Yeah. No, that's the correct number.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
And
so
the special needs tuitions, I can't remember what they said about that.
we did realize savings there, so that it's a legitimate decrease.
Wow.
Through the,
That's the first one I want.
It is, first decrease.
yeah.
So we can vote it, if it changes, we can revisit it.
Yeah, we have. The debt exclusion one should have changed at the very least.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll make a motion to approve line 73, special needs tuitions, amount of $1,777,377.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and second. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll entertain a motion on line 76 as well.
I'll make a motion to approve line 76, debt exclusion budget Silver Lake, amount of $475,150.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, drop down to line 92, cemetery supplies and equipment, a level fund request of $6,020.
I will make a motion to approve line 92, cemetery supplies and equipment, in the amount of $6,020.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, that was page 4. On to page 5.
We did the rest of these already for public works, water, anyway.
Of 108.
I'll make a motion to approve line 108 as
Can I
written.
ask, sorry, to interrupt. Can I ask them to hold on that one?
Sure.
Just because she was still trying to get figures on it, and I think we need to call her and ask her if it is gonna go up.
Okay.
Okay.
All right?
Yep. Alright, so, page 5.
Why is, what's the significance of the bold in line 112? Health inspections?
Oh, you know why? Because that's, I believe that's nothing to do with the barn inspections, right? That they ended up going back.
No, that's not why those are bold. They should not need to still be bold. I bolded it last year because,
For the
of the
special?
increase that we voted. But it doesn't, I just didn't take the bold off. There was no significance to that bold. And it's a wage line item, so we wouldn't be voting it.
Oh, yes, she is, okay.
nothing else on that page then.
Like do 132, or should we both do it straight out? I assume it's just carryovers.
No, I'm fine with 132. I'm fine with 132, 133.
We already voted 133 through 38.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, I was looking above. I meant 132. Alright, so 132,
139,
139.
140 and 141.
Yeah. There's nothing on 140. They made no request. So just line. Alright.
I make a motion
The
to approve
website
no
committee
request.
expense, that's charter.
That's a $7 increase.
That's music rights.
That's
isn't it?
music rights.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion on line 132 parks expense, a level fund request of $450. Line 139 beautification commission expense request of $500. Agricultural, no sorry, line 141 website committee expense of $3,050.
I will make a motion to approve lines 132 parks expense, line 139 beautification committee expense, and line 141 website committee expense, in the amounts of $450, $500, and $3,050 respectively.
I will second that motion.
Motion is second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. The only reason why the music rights went up $7 instead of just staying level funded, I think it's just a fat thing with the keyboard.
That wasn't a thing on the keyboard.
Oh,
That was what Charlie asked for.
okay.
Charlie,
That $7 might
Maybe he'll pull the $7 out of his pocket and hand it to you then.
I think it's either an inflation rate or it's just the same percentage every year.
I just want,
that's the answer.
I was only wondering if there's like a typo. because it's
Yeah,
level
it
funded.
does happen.
Okay, all right.
Do we pay the money in the website committee, the website,
We shouldn't say website committee anymore, obviously, that's
right,
one.
but the website expense?
Yes, because we're going to continue, since we're going to do a Civic Plus, we're going to continue paying them, even with the change in website, it's the same administration posting fee every year.
So the 3,050 is.
Yeah.
Alright, so, even though we've been voting the level funds and the decreases, I would entertain a motion on line 142 music rights for the amount of $357 because it's such a minor increase over the FY19 request of $350.
I'll make a motion to approve line 142 music rights in the amount of $357.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Line, sorry, on to page 6.
We can't vote,
We voted.
we don't have a number for the debt water extension.
That's what they
That's all
paid off.
Do we even need to vote if it's? I wouldn't think so, right?
We're dedicated.
Trooper.
I'm not breathing on anybody.
Bradford's like, could you move down a little bit?
I'm not looking at him.
I'm not a germaphobe and I'm very fortunate in life, so.
I'm like a cough drop just in case.
She's been very good, she's aiming that way.
I'll entertain a motion on line 156 telephone, a level fund request of $29,200. Line 157 gas and oil, all departments, a level fund request of $110,000. And line 158 heating oil, all buildings, a level fund request of $62,500.
That was 156, 7, and 8.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve lines 156, 157, 158 for telephone, gas and oil, heating oil, all departments in the amounts of $29,200, $110,000, and $62,500 respectively.
Seconded.
Any discussion?
Is it really all departments? Because there's a equivalent line in the water department, I believe.
It is all departments. This line pays for the gasoline and then bills the water department for it.
Yes, because again, we want to get our portion back from the water.
Interesting. Any further questions?
Any other questions? All those in favor? Aye. Okay,
Is the insurance line still questionable?
I think that just came in. Charlie said he just got some.
154?
The 150, 154 for 250.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's regular insurance, that's not health insurance.
That's
Okay.
like probably
So that-
liability.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
that's-
Yeah.
Is that the number?
250,000?
Yeah.
That's-
As I said just a few minutes ago, the liability, general liability insurance and property such as level. I mean, I don't need an increase, I know that, whatever. The level funding will be fine.
okay.
You guys?
Yep. So, line 154, insurance, a level fund request of $250,000.
I will make a motion to approve line 154, insurance in the amount of 250,000.
I will second.
Any discussion or questions? All those in favor? Aye. If we can just take a few more minutes on, and paddle backwards for a minute to the public safety, because we met with the chiefs last week and talked about the reasons for the increases. If y'all would just take a few minutes and we can talk about how we feel about, again, leaving out the wage and personnel lines, but for example, under police, line 46, training, there's an increase. The request is for $10,000. This is to account for, when we asked police, Chief Shaws, it was to account for increasing training needs that he has among the officers. It was presented in the revised budgets that I believe were dated February 28th. But he was comfortable with the $10,000 figure being able to cover all of the necessary training.
I'll make a motion to approve line 46, police training, in the amount of $10,000.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Line 50, cruiser maintenance. The request is for $15,000. This is up $4,000 over the FY19. This is because of the switching of the schedule on the cruiser maintenance, and it also includes now that we're going to schedule in the chief's vehicles maintenance as well as the new purchasing scheme for cruisers moving forward through capital planning.
Because we normally would do two cruisers per year. This year the chief's car's up, so instead of doing the chief car and two cruisers, he's saying, if you just get me one cruiser and one chief car, I'll make do with the other car, which could require more maintenance, because it's being an older car.
And the chief's car used to not be on the same refresh schedule.
Fresh schedule at all.
The last time
and
we
we
got a
changed
chief's
that.
car, we got the chief and two cruisers, so,
Yeah. It was like 6 or 7 years ago.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'll make a motion to approve line 50, police cruiser maintenance, in the amount of $15,000.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, if we could drop down under fire to line 54, fire training. A request of $58,596, according to the chief, now that we are designated an OSHA municipality or someone, or a fire department that has to be able to respond to a variety of OSHA incidents, there is an increased or there are more trainings that the personnel have to attend now to be able to maintain these certifications that are required for OSHA. And when we asked the chief, he was confident that this was enough to make sure that everyone was able to get through all of the required trainings.
So OSHA is not new.
Right.
There's new OSHA requirements.
You know, there are OSHA requirements now for them. You want to see it?
It's not going to just affect the fire departments either. It's going to affect highway and the police. There'll be some
Well, we
trainings
just
that
help
we
all water department, every single department do something. As it is, I'm thinking that we need to have a separate line item because most of the departments aren't going to have money in their individual expense budgets to cover this. And some of it's going to be equipment, some of it's going to be training in the sense of we may have, I mean, not large capital expenses in the sense of an individual piece of equipment, accumulation of improvements or anything that we have to do with the buildings. It might be higher for the first year and then have to just have a training budget specifically for OSHA for employees and such to meet the requirements.
This isn't just us, I assume.
No, what had happened is that until 6 or 8 months ago, the municipalities were exempt from OSHA. Technically, we're still exempt from OSHA. What has happened is the state has said, you're not going to have OSHA inspectors coming to your municipalities, but we're going to come in and we're going to use the OSHA standards instead of slightly more relaxed standards that we've been using up until now. These are the same standards that all private industries have been using all this time. It's just the municipalities had an exemption here in Massachusetts, and now we no longer really, as a practical basis, don't have that exemption anymore.
That's amazing.
And they did that with no additional aid, I imagine.
Oh, of course not.
I work in a state building and they're doing it to us.
That's incredible. I can't believe that.
I can. It doesn't surprise me.
So you may see something still from me before we finish this process. I don't know whether it's going to be an article or whether we'll just have to establish a line item. Same thing we're doing, having to do stormwater.
That's annual training.
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of it is additional record keeping too.
I'll hold off on it then in case they determine they're gonna split it out.
Line 55 fire expense is a request of $46,750.
$17,124 actually. Nope, 46,750.
Yeah.
I need new eyes.
No, it's okay. I looked at it too. Line 55 fire expense 46,750. Nope. Where are my notes?
That's the one I pulled the thing up from last time.
Yeah. I have the 55 article. Yeah. Oh, that's right. So we used to have separate articles for turnout gear and radios, but now those are all folded into the operating expense. So whereas those would have been voted on separately at previous annual town meeting, that's now. But they were always part of the operating budget. Now we're actually placing them inside the operating budget.
We'll make a motion to approve line 55 expense in the amount of $46,750.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
The articles are always approved, I assume.
They were, yeah. But it was the discussion we were having the other night about not placing something that,
Right.
recurring
Yeah.
operating expense
There was
under.
But they were always approved by the town meeting.
Yeah. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Line 56 station maintenance. Request for $17,124.
I'll make a motion to approve line 56 fire station maintenance in the amount of $17,124.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Line 57, vehicle equipment maintenance for fire. The request is for $28,000. A lot of it has to do with the fact that this is maintenance is being performed outside the facility. It's increasing complexity that can't be handled in-house.
I don't know, it was more than just complexity, right? It was just that the town mechanic is servicing highway and the other departments,
Yeah.
and they're having the same thing done.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve line 57, fire vehicle equipment maintenance in the amount of $28,000.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Just keep getting used to you guys tag
Oh,
teaming
yeah,
stuff.
jump in
No.
anytime you want.
Yeah.
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Line 58, fire medical supplies, the
Yeah,
request
really.
is for $25,000. We asked the chief, the price of various medicines have increased multiple times over. Some are up to, $100 or more for certain things. Given what they've been spending over the last several years, if you look at the trend, that was what the discussion we had was about. So the request is for $25,000.
I'll make a motion to approve line 58, fire medical supplies in the amount of $25,000.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Line 59, ambulance billing, the request is for $27,500. We remember that when we had the vote to outsource the ambulance billing, we'd see the costs go up, but it looks like receipts are predicted to also increase, even though there might be a time lag on that.
And it will always be, like, relative to, like,
A percentage
we
of,
will be billed more, a higher percentage than receipts.
I think it was 4% receipts.
Right, it's a percentage.
So if it goes up, then it means we just took in
Yeah.
more revenue. It's 4% of whatever the revenue is. There was a fixed cost at the start, that's already paid for, I think, right? Is there do we know if there's an annual contract fee or anything like that with them, or is it always just a flat 4%?
I believe it's just like that.
Okay. And that fixed cost was paid for, I think at the special last year, wasn't it? Pretty sure it was,
Yes.
pretty sure it was a special,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, we had it in the August.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember.
So we're projecting then, based on that 4%, that we're projecting $687,500 in revenue?
Worst case there or best case there?
That's, yeah, I know. That's,
Yeah,
yeah.
It's not coming in that way, but that would be, if we get that, if we have to pay that, we'll get that, yes.
Okay, so this number would be less if our, billing.
If we
comes
only
in
get
less.
$500,000.
It'd be 4% of that, it'd be
ambulance receipts,
20,000.
It would be 4% of that.
yeah, I think if you guys put 100,000 in there, I have to prove it, because it would be 4%, so, yeah, it's a weird item. That makes sense.
I'll make a motion to approve, I think I did already, didn't I? No,
I don't think so.
I'll make a motion to approve line 59 ambulance billing in the amount of $27,500.
I'll second.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Line 60, emergency management, the request is for $6,550. This is actually a lower request that was made last year, which was $10,000, and what this is for is to be able to put paid town employees at a warming shelter that we would have to establish here at the school in the event of a natural disaster. We're still gonna have a regional overnight shelter at Silver Lake that the Red Cross will actually help us staff, so this wouldn't be paying for the regional shelter, this would just be if we needed a warming shelter here, due to a natural disaster, and to have trained personnel, especially like paramedics, EMTs on hand for that.
I'm making a motion to approve line 60 emergency management in the amount of $6,550.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
So the warming center is new, right? Is that a new thing?
It's sort of a downgrade of, we wouldn't have to provide overnight.
No, I'm sorry. Is the regional overnight a new thing?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we've been working with Kingston and Plimpton, and the whole idea is that last year we intended just to have a warming center there, a freestanding shelter. The last summer though, because all of the roads were blocked, we ended up having to do an overnight shelter And I mentioned last week when we were here that I was typically the worker at the shelter and I'm not trained. And so sometimes we have elderly people come in with medical issues, and it really, for the town's sake and for our residents' sake, we need to have an EMT on site if we're ever even gonna do a warming center.
Plus Kim's leaving.
Plus,
Yeah, let's come in. So is this for, is this like overtime for one of our EMTs?
no,
or
it
is
would be overtime. It's typically like, so halfway during the shelter last year, we ended up calling in an EMT. We just really needed one. And typically it is filled by a call firefighter. Nobody, because most full-time staff are earning overtime because there's a disaster happening, whether it's a snowstorm. We try to have all hands on deck to handle all the trees down and all that kind of thing. So what typically we have to help us at the shelter would be EMTs. And it's a liability issue too for the community. I mean, certainly people have needs that we can't meet.
Yeah, who is it going to?
Who's it going?
Who would the money be paid to?
It would be paid to the EMT.
Okay, that's what I was.
Yes,
okay.
what would
Because
happen
we
is
said
we
town
would call it
employees.
out. Yeah, so we would, well, that and if for some reason, you know, like, let's say you couldn't get CERT volunteers to actually do the administrative, like sign people in, coordinate the food, coffee, all that kind of thing. We could, if we had an employee that was willing to volunteer, we could pay them an hourly rate. But really, the spirit of which that money was requested is because of the need
Was for the-
for medical assistance. Because again, we have elderly people come that have medical issues that, you know, we as regular people are trying to address. But again, I could hurt somebody not knowing the proper way to lift somebody.
Okay, so we're paying to have the EMT in the warming center?
Yeah, it's just better for the town and for the...
So essentially, I mean, if you're in that position to begin with, all of your fire department and public safety's being deployed anyway, so they're all on overtime for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, and we were really lucky, you know, that we did have a couple of EMTs that were available. I mean, there is a chance at some point because, you know, our numbers are limited sometimes, and sometimes we have these long-term storms, right? So, and the other thing we might need an employee for is when we're trying to get the people to Kingston at the shelter, we're gonna need drivers to drive the people. So let's say we're a warming center, which means stop in, have a cup of coffee, charge your phone, right? Have a bite to eat, a snack of sorts. If you're gonna be out of your house, because for instance, we had to sort of ask for the people at the mobile home park to evacuate because we had so many trees falling, right? So in that case, we know it's going to be a longer-term issue and they want to have a good night's sleep. We're going to need van drivers. We use the Council on Aging van to drive to Kingston with the people.
Okay.
And we didn't always have volunteers. It was like one really nice man.
And Kim.
Yeah. And yeah, I've driven the van.
So essentially, the thing, the chief said that this is kind of necessary, right? We
Yeah.
need to guarantee that we have staff there.
Because people...
It gives them the option to fill in
Yeah.
the blanks.
And the other thing about this line is that it would not be, nothing from it would be line item transferable at the end of the fiscal year. This would just be for that, and anything not expended toward a shelter would not go anywhere else.
Okay, perfect.
Because people have the best of intention, like the CERT people have the best of it, but the truth of the matter is, in the middle of a storm, it's hard for people to get there themselves, right? A lot of our volunteers on CERT are elderly people, so it's hard for them to do the physical work, so, I mean, the lifting.
Did we set one up this year? We didn't. We got that one this
Yeah,
year.
not so far this winter, no, we have not had the need, so don't even say it, okay?
Yeah. Sorry. Is this laminate or wood?
I think that one's real wood. This one's definitely limited.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor on line 60, emergency management?
Aye.
All right, on to page 3. I personally could go either way on voting the schools tonight. The one thing to keep in mind is that Silver Lake's gonna have a meeting tomorrow night. and was interested in any guidance that we could provide to them on sort of how Halifax was feeling about their request. So line 75, silver assessment. The request is for $4,594,942.55, which is a 3.1% increase up over last year. I know at our Monday night meeting, we talked with them about what went into their budget. What's presented in their operating budget is level service. Although we will have to talk about any other articles they bring forward that will involve their operating budget. But right now we're just speaking strictly about the level service request, the level service proposal that they gave us.
I know that there's going to be a meeting set up to talk about the resource officer with the chiefs and selectmen, and members of the finance committee will be invited to try and brainstorm the need. Like, we're going to want specific data, and if there's a need, as I said earlier, I do believe it does belong within the operating budget.
I agree.
I do too.
So I had thought, I'm totally going from there, I thought the chief had mentioned they didn't think there was a need for a resource officer.
He hasn't, what his words today when I spoke with him today, he's like, he said, there isn't data supporting it right now. And he was talking a little bit about, New Bedford, where he came from. I think there's one resource officer for both the high school and the middle school there. So we're not New Bedford, but we still have issues. So I'm not saying that the need isn't there, but we need to really hone in on how many hours are really needed. And I understand the chief from Kingston probably would prefer it to be an officer because if there's an emergency, there's flexibility. But if we all agree that we're going to pay for a resource officer, then it's a resource officer, right? And because we're all sharing the expense of that. And I still would like to see if there's a way that we can work it out so that that position is not shared among the town, but as I said, you shouldn't have to pay overtime. We should be able to fill that need using other officers throughout the 3 towns. And so I'm hoping that can be worked out. If it can't be worked out, again, we need to get specifics on how many hours. Give me an example how many people have interventions. We don't need to know specifics, but we just need to have the data. And if that data is supported, we can come up with the number of hours, and then that amount goes into the budget. Because not only does it belong in the budget, but if you want to keep track of net minimum spending for education, which has to do a lot with that formula that Mr. Frazier was talking about, we need to get credit for that money spent. And it's not fair to the Kingston taxpayers that they're fronting this, but my thought is that officer isn't just at the school, but they must be using him in another capacity in order to justify.
Well, my experience dealing with resource officers, it's a specific guy.
Yes.
Okay, it's Officer Jones.
Yes.
And he's in the school every day. He gets his overtime by working other shifts, by working other details.
Yep.
If the need arises. But Monday through Friday, school's in session, he's in the building.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like they're gonna, it's Tuesday, so it's a Halifax officer, it's Wednesday, so it's a Plimpton officer, it's whoever it is, it's gonna be a specific person. But that's why I agree with you that paying somebody on overtime is ridiculous for a couple reasons. One, because that guy's working 40 hours somewhere else. And now he's, what if he just came off shift at 8 o'clock and he's tired, he's had a long night, and now he's in the schools. He's a bit cranky. It kind of defeats the purpose, I
had a long conversation with Gordon Andrews this morning about the whole situation, and so we're coordinating this meeting, which I think is important, and I think that he understands the need, he's going to vet the numbers as well to ensure that, we have the right amount of hours, if there is even that. And I explained to him that, again, this was years ago when we did it before. I believe, again, it's been at least 18 years, so I believe this is the way we did it. I believe that Kingston at the time, or it could have been Pembroke, because remember, we had the high school was in Pembroke.
High school was in Kingston.
High school was
in Kingston
the middle
Middle
school was in, oh yeah, middle, yeah. So I believe the officer who was Officer Silver at the time, like the town of Kingston would ask for reimbursement for the salary, and but it would be paid through that line. And again, you know, as Joy said, if somebody got laid off, we wouldn't expect for the town of Kingston to have to cover that. You know, we would have to make that part of the assessment.
that was
part
your
of-
point
That's
with
part of doing
teachers.
business.
Right, and in the
They
same
do a lot
way
of
that we lay off a teacher, all 3 towns share in
Sure,
that.
yeah.
So, yeah, I know it's possible, we just need to sit in a room and figure out the right way to do it.
But I know in Marshfield, the resource officers also typically work the details for sporting events.
Yes,
No, it's on overtime, lucky them, but it's that familiar face. It's that, you know, that they're shooting for.
yeah,
So,
so yeah,
What does a resource officer do?
they kind of just kind of bond, they investigate, you know, they keep their eye on certain kids that are, you know.
they usually run different
And they're
programs
asking
within
for-
the
They're asking for a
school.
full-time resource officer for the middle school.
That's
Well, that's their eventual goal. This
Yeah.
is just for overtime.
No, no,
for the
yeah,
middle
so what
school.
they're doing
No,
is
we
right
want a
now.
full-time
But I-
officer.
No,
That's their
right
But
now-
if they're gonna pay him
Right.
overtime,
Right now, there's a full, I think.
There's a full-time one at the high school.
At the high school, and then this particular part overtime would be, originally the spirit was that Plimpton and Halifax would cover the overtime for that same person to work in the middle school. But that was.
How
the
can he be in 2
original
places at one time though?
Well, that's.
Well, that's.
no. My understanding was originally Kingston put an officer in the high school,
Part-time.
whatever hours, but when the officer was there, he was on overtime. They have since added an officer to their department who now works in Silver Lake High School.
Right.
They want to put another officer in the middle school. They do not want to add to their staffing.
Right.
So the officer that would be working would be paid overtime.
Right.
Yes. Okay.
So, and they want Plimpton and Halifax to foot the bill for that cost.
Yes. But I have a good feeling that we'll all together be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's more
I support the need,
Yes.
and
I don't even know if I support the need.
Well, let's
Well-
see what the data, this is what I said to Chief Shots today. You know, let's see what the data shows. And maybe
Yeah.
it shows that it's a 20-hour position to cover those schools. Maybe it shows
Well,
whatever
that's-
that is.
That's what I'm
Because they had a part-time officer at the high school until last year when the officer became full-time. So they just got a full-time officer for both, just this past year, and they're already searching for a full-time for the middle school.
If you have problem children, for the record, I was one.
I was not, so.
Look at you now, Bill. Look at you now.
Why would you need a part-time resource officer? Wouldn't they need to be there all day? Unless they got
Not
kicked out.
necessarily, it depends on how many people that are on the naughties list, I don't know, I mean, that's the thing, like, if you have only 2 or 3 kids that are, you know, spirited, then you don't need to be there the full
Well,
time.
in the high
Well,
school has 4 classes, the middle school has 2, so you've got a full-time for the high school, you want a full-time for the
But the-
middle school for half the kids?
But you may not.
But what I'm saying is the problem isn't for half the day. It's a function of hours, not the number of students.
yeah, and understand too, a resource officer is not just there as a security guard.
Right.
He's there to build the community with the kids and to help out in the event that there is a problem, whether it's,
But the-
you know, staff on staff, staff on, and student on student. And in Marshfield, where I come from, they also teach. They perform a teaching function. There are programs that they can go into and, you know, I couldn't tell you if it's an English class or government economics or whatever, but they actually go in as part of that trying to relate, because kids today, you know, I'm not gonna speak for you because I'm a different generation than all of you, I think. When I grew up, we feared them.
Yes.
I happen to know them because my mother worked in town government, and Marshfield, Halifax reminds me of Marshfield 50 years ago. And everybody knows everybody, and the police knew everybody. But that's not the case at that school. because first off, you're drawn from 3 towns, and these kids today are, you know, I don't want to, you know, make any assumptions about any of your children, but I have a couple of grandchildren, and, you know, they're going to give their parents a run for the money. And their outlook towards uniforms are totally different.
Disrespectful.
It is, hugely, hugely. And part of it is because it's like they're daring them to do something.
Yeah.
You know, and so they're trying to eliminate that or to break it down. What they say, they had 1,100 kids at Silver Lake between the 2 schools. 2 guys are not going to break down 1,100 kids. But you know
We
what?
wouldn't
I
have
think
to,
it's
right?
somebody.
My mother would.
It would just be you don't have to break down. I never spoke to the resource officer once, my 6 years there.
Yeah.
Never interacted with him a single time.
And I think it's also reflective of a broader trend toward more community policing and
Yeah.
more sort of proactive and
Yeah.
involved
And it's
and
also the world we live in.
work.
They are there for a police purpose,
Yes.
for a first responder purpose.
I understand, I'm struggling with a part-time resource officer. If you have a need, it should be a function of the
Oh.
hours in a day and the number of days
Well,
per
and
week.
I think that's why they said, Kim was saying that we need to have a meeting to kind of hash out what is the data, what is,
What do they do?
Yeah.
what do they
They've got a
What are
need?
they
Right,
doing?
that's
What
what
is-
I'm saying, if you
and
make
what are
it-
their
Yeah.
hours?
a long way to
And,
go.
and
Yeah.
I think right now, what's
We
been,
want to see the job description.
Yeah.
And I think you're gonna be surprised if it's gonna be very easy to come up with 40 hours.
Yeah.
Because remember, police and fire don't get lunch breaks. Right? You were a firefighter?
No.
I thought somebody kept saying you were in fire service.
You know,
So-
there's time. to
Oh,
have
just
a
the
little
committee,
bit.
they
There's
were-
a time to have a little bit of lunch here in Halifax.
No, but they don't, but their shifts
Yeah, no.
are not,
Right.
you know,
And they get expected a lot
you
for
know,
the lunch.
Governor Baker tells me to go take a half hour and don't get paid for it.
And then they could be
That doesn't work out. but-
interrupted at any moment,
Yeah.
you know.
so I think,
So we'll figure that out, and we'll,
Yeah.
I know that John got an email, I'm sorry, Chief Schaub's got an email from Joy giving some specific dates. We haven't gotten one yet. Charlie hasn't received one, I'm expecting one anytime. And then he will put it out to the finance, because I talked to Charlie today, and I think the spirit for us is to have as many people there as we can that can answer, that can ask questions, so that we all feel comfortable going into, because we have time to eliminate the article and put it within the operating budget if that's the decision and the need is there.
So 2 final questions for me then, and the one is, if it stays in the article, and I don't think it should, but if it did, you have to keep voting on this every single year?
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
that's-
asked
yeah,
I asked them
yeah.
what would happen if it failed, and they just said they would spend whatever gets approved.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if Halifax
Yeah.
turns it down, but Plimpton approves it, whatever the dollar figure is that Plimpton approves, they would,
Well, it's 2 out of 3, right?
Right, and then, no, not
No,
in
it
the
would
case
just
of
be
the
Not in an
article.
article.
So why wouldn't Halifax residents just say, I'm gonna say no, because then I don't have to pay for it, but I still have the benefit?
but you still get a benefit of
So we
somebody
do
in.
have one position, and full disclosure, we have one position that we fund partly by an article, and the only reason why we do that is the conservation agent. And there's a line item that we fund through general fund, so that person has a regular salary. And then from year to year, remember when we eliminated the conservation agent to save some money? And sometimes we have to use some of that money to either fund extra hours in conservation for them to do some conservation drive-arounds, or we need to fund that line item to hire outside services. So we set that in a separate article every year to match whatever we do have in a line item. So that's the part that fluctuates, and because it's coming from a different source of revenue, it doesn't come from general funds, we do tend to keep that separate. But that's the only time we ever would fund any kind of a position with an article, because most of their pay is being funded in that line item.
And because the wetland secretary line was coming from the conservation, the wetlands fee, we could not just, when a regular line item goes, you know, and at the end of the year, there's money left over, it goes into the general fund, that money wouldn't be able to go into the general fund because it's from the wetland fees, it had to be kept separate. So that's why we always just kept that in a separate article and a separate
Yeah,
line.
so I just want to give you that information, just so you're aware of the only other time we would do that.
So the only other thing I would add to the, what do officers make? Or I'm assuming it's a police officer would be the resource officer, right?
Yes, yes.
So do they make time and a half on overtime or is it double time?
It's time and a half.
Time and a half. So if the need is for 26.66 bar hours, you're better off just getting a full time,
Yes, yes,
because that'd be break even.
yes. Mhm. Yeah, so we'll see. We got time.
All right, so
So I guess the kind of philosophical question is, do we want to vote on the school lines tonight to communicate to the school committees kind of where we're standing so far, given the discussion that we had the other night, barring the separate discussion about the resource officer, because what both the elementary school and the high school presented to us were, well, the high school the Silver Lake Regional presented us a level service, and we asked about some of those increases. The elementary school provided us basically level service with the exemption of the textbooks, which we knew was an expense that was coming based on the cuts we made last year, and the addition of buying that half of the bus, which would return them to the bus capacity that they were at several years before.
I'm not ready to do the,
That's okay.
did the finance committee last year recommend not to approve the Silver Lake budget based on principle? Because I think the other two towns had already
Correct.
voted them in and got shot down.
Because
anyway.
It was about sustainability.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was about sustainability.
we asked them for a particular figure and they came close but didn't come in, and it wasn't level service. And that was our sort of thing, and that's at least how I voted, was that we had requested a level service and that wasn't what we were
So
getting.
is the timing of the town meeting such that Halifax is the third
With a second.
or the second?
Well, actually, we used to be the first, second, but now, lately, the last few years, we've been the first, because what happens is, Kingston has their annual town meeting in March, but then they started the last couple of years doing articles in March, yet they do their budget in June.
Just got your email.
But, Kingston typically will vote for the whole budget. Clinton sometimes can be a wild card, not often, and they put the most.
Well, this year, didn't they take percentage-wise, they took a big jump?
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's gonna be any pushback on it from the other towns this year because of the increases. Because Halifax, I think last year, I don't remember where they fell, but it wasn't like it is this year, where the required increase, and then we're the lowest of the required increase, and we're the lowest of the additional on top of the required increase.
What we can do, we've had trouble trying to get the other FinComs to meet with us in the past. We can make another try at it. If not, to get Kingston at least ideally to get to Kingston and Plimpton together, we can try.
I'd like to, just because I'd like to hear what they have to say, if that's
Yeah.
possible.
So
Plus, if they have a meeting tomorrow, I don't know if there's gonna be any changes as a result.
So Kathy, would you mind reaching out to the secretaries of the Kingston and Plimpton finance committees and their chairs at the same time, and asking if there's because we'll be meeting Monday and Wednesday of next week, if they're able to hold joint meetings with us. If not both of them, then maybe one at a time, specifically to discuss the Silver Lake regional budget.
Because I agree with you. I don't think I'm ready to do that. But the other question I have is, we've heard now there could be $150,000 to $170,000 that you found.
We found an error in my spreadsheet, is what we found.
Well, whatever, but I left here a week ago and we were $370,000 in the hole from where we wanted to be.
Yep, and so
So-
Charlie and I sat down on Friday and went through the budgets, my spreadsheet and his spreadsheet, and did a comparison. We found a couple of discrepancies, and we are in much better shape, which I know Charlie explained to you on Monday. So, but what it looks like is we're holding the 300,000 pillow that we like, and then a little spacer for the fire suppression debt. We want to leave that money on the table.
In the lost solar
because we
field
know we're gonna
tax.
do it.
We like to call it $300,000 if you don't mind, the tucking.
All right, so the tucky. But with that, we're about 200,000 But you have to understand that.
200,000 in the red.
In the black.
In the black.
In the black.
We haven't
But-
heard from,
It's very different than it was when we saw you last week.
Right,
So last week, you were
Dire straits.
370,000
in the red.
in the red.
Now I'm up in the.
So you didn't find 150, 170, you found 500.
what are we still waiting on? We're still waiting on wage and
All the
personnel.
wage and personnel and all the articles.
We found a pot of gold. Right?
Did you go out and play megabucks or the
I
lottery?
did some correct figures on my spreadsheet. So by doing it, we found the discrepancies and we made the corrections. And that's one of the things, when you do these spreadsheets, and Charlie does these spreadsheets, it's very important for us to
Oh,
sit
no,
down
I understand.
and double check it. Right, and both go about them
He
differently.
has a different spreadsheet than I do, I do mine, and we start matching.
No offense, history is always proven, listen,
I'm just gonna, I know I haven't mentioned this before, but when I was on the finance committee, I used to do my very own spreadsheet with my very own formula, so that I would double check it. It's just nice to have a third.
It's
wow,
nice
you
to have-
had a lot of free time.
Well, it was important, see how important
Sorry,
it was that
I call it
Charlie
like I
was
see it.
It's true, I did it. My kids were in school then, and that's what
I mean, it's, so yeah.
Okay, so the bottom line is the likelihood of having to call up department heads and say, you need to cut 1% or something.
You're not,
No,
you're gonna have to do that.
That doesn't leave the room, I understand, but
Oh, it does.
Well, it does, because it's on camera.
Bradford.
Hey, folks!
What you need to keep in mind is that number does not include any pay increases for town employees or union employees, except for the school, because the school's pay increases are built
in
into
that.
these budgets.
Right.
So they already have their pay increases in here, but none of the other towns.
so these salary lines that are in here don't include contractual? Oh, no, you're going for, you're still doing your wages.
So somewhere right now, union or non-union, in their contract, especially what's in there. If someone is an hourly employee, because we're working on a Monday through Friday schedule, there are 2 extra work days in fiscal 20
yeah.
versus, so there were 260-19, 262-20. She's already built that in there.
So that's it.
Yeah.
So it's purely just the 1%, 2%, 3%, whatever you can come to agreement.
Does this include the additional manpower that was requested by highway
And building
in
maintenance.
building?
Yes.
This-
So
okay.
their lines are in there
Yep.
at what their request was.
Okay.
And then I put in
If
the
it
box
was-
what the level service was.
Okay.
Which is, why when I wrote you, I didn't on Friday or Saturday, I said, look, start off with the line items you've approved that are level funded or have gone down. Include Sandy's calculations for the step increases and the extra 2 days. Include the things that legally were bound to pay, retirement, as an example, changes in debt, things like that. Then you say, based on Sandy's numbers, here's where we are at revenue, here's everything we've approved so far, which doesn't include any of the line items that went up, and doesn't include a union contract or the general wage increase for wage and personnel. And then you come up with your list of priorities. Now, mind you, you may get to a point where you don't actually hit that top, but you don't necessarily have to hit the top.
No.
What I want to do is place, very specific, I would like to see the schools be placed on the same level as wages for town employees, whether they're union or non-union, in the sense that we can't simply say, fine, the school gets what it wanted, and now everybody else is taking the tail end. You put them on the same basis. I mean, if we're going to approve a budget that includes a 2% or whatever it is for the schools, for their wages in Silver Lake and for the elementary school, then I think we're obligated to put a similar level of increase for everybody else. That doesn't mean that the schools should cut back, but it does mean that there needs to be value given to all employees. And then you figure out what your priorities are versus in terms of the requests. I mean, highway, building committee, they're asking for more hours. Is that a priority? Is the resource officer a priority?
School
We're gonna look
bus.
at all those things.
That's cool.
This school ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Or,
What's the exposure for the non-school wages for every percent increase, rough and tough?
It's about 50. We're talking union, non-union is about 50 per 1%.
For all across the
100,000 for two.
board? Okay,
Okay.
all right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Do you happen to know what last year's levy was?
The actual taxes we did,
Yes.
not the levy limit.
Not the limit, the actual levy.
Because this is where it gets weird. We have the levy limit, we do the 300,000, but then we have things like Silver Lake.
Yep.
And for the levy.
Right.
Here's a recap sheet, find out.
Because at the end of the day, I want to see what we are doing to the average household, right? And so I want to build that into, because nothing that's been presented to me thus far has seemed unreasonable, but when we're making the cuts, I want to know what we're doing between, because it's not just because I was confused when I figured Prop 2.5, I'm like, why is it not 2.5? And then I learned about debt exclusions, and then I learned that it's not 2.5 based on the previous levy, it's 2.5 based on the previous levy limit. So if we,
The actual levy was about $16,460,000. Now, that's not the levy limit. We were, in terms of dollars that we could do under the levy limit, we were considerably below the levy limit because we had put in space for
COA
for the fire suppression system and the 300,000. But above that, we're still paying Silver Lake and we're paying the landfill. And those are above the levy limit. So it gets a little weird. You've got this clump that's actually above the levy limit, but nevertheless, we were leaving a lot of room underneath the levy.
but what's outside of the levy limit is going to continue anyway, right? Because those have already been approved and spent, and those are already in motion anyhow. So there's nothing we can do about those on this committee. So if it was 16,460 last year, we're looking at, if we were to keep the 300, build in the solar field loss tax and the scheduled fire suppression, that leaves us with 204,947 off of the levy limit less the 300. So that's what I need to figure out that's what I need to do. I need to sit down. I can't do it here because I'll embarrass myself. But that's what I
was
need to do.
impressed the way you were going. I was
No, I
trying
actually
to
So basically, the
follow.
question is, when you come down to a final series of decisions, what's going to be the levy?
Yes.
What does that mean to the tax?
Yes, because the debt exclusions, we can't do anything about, that they were already voted on, so people should, if they don't know, they'll quickly know that those things are outside the levy limit in the first place. But if we're increasing taxes, I would like to know by how much. And so if it becomes a number that I'm not comfortable with, that'll help me determine, the additional highway person, the additional hours for building, the additional school bus, half a school bus, whatever it is.
And I think that's an important point, and one of the things we'll do as a committee is draft up a letter that's gonna get included with the warrant that presents that in sort of a condensed way to the taxpayer that, hey, given what we had, this is what we had last year, this is a tax on an average home now, or this is what if you accept our recommendations, here's what your taxes would look like, here's our philosophy. We can include a little bit about the process we went through, just so for people who weren't able to watch, they get a sense. But I think that's important because on town meeting floor, it's a lot of numbers going back and forth, and I think something to contextualize it for people is really important.
Yeah, because to your point, if we're sitting under the black right now and we haven't even included the increase for the wages, it's almost like, hey, we're good. But you don't know what that's going to do.
Yeah, the only thing, it does make you feel a little more comfortable about it.
Sure.
Because, I said a week ago, I left here thinking, there's a cut coming.
Yes,
I was there
exactly.
too.
Yes.
I was in the same place.
Yep.
That's why it was so important that we go over the spreadsheet.
Yeah, doesn't mean you have to go for it all, but
No.
So long story short, I'd like to hold off on the school budgets.
I'm completely comfortable with that.
The only one I could suggest that you might want to look at is the special needs transportation.
Well, that and the special.
They've already voted the special needs.
That was about the bulk.
The vocational,
We voted those.
they recommended that too.
That was Oh, no, the tuition was a decrease.
Yes.
Yeah, so we
the
can look at
transportation was a
line
contract.
We weren't
74.
legally obligated to. do that.
Yeah, so line 74, special needs transportation, the request is for $510,000. And that has to do with the contract for the busing changing, and Charlie said we're legally obligated to cover that. So I'll entertain a motion on line 74, special needs transportation.
I will make a motion to approve line 74, special needs transportation, the amount of $510,000.
Seconded.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
In terms of other, line 80, highway expense, the request is for $6,771.
I'll make a motion to approve line 80 highway expense, the amount of $6,771.
Do we have a second? We can have discussion once we have a motion and a second.
Second.
Motion and a second, okay. Discussion
Turn
on
me
line
off.
80 highway
Hold that.
expense.
Sorry, I'm reading. Just got a text from the wife.
It's okay. So we did have Steve come in and talk about, the various, reasons. So again, we're not touching any of the wages, any of the wage lines for highway. Line 80 highway expense. I believe the reason for the increase on that was, $80? Oh, an extra $500.50 was for the increased trainings that they have to attend. Because there's gonna be mandates for,
OSHA.
I think it's OSHA, and I think it might be the stormwater as well. So that was the only reason for that increase was, it's
Okay.
under the subline of meetings.
What are the odds that you make a new account for the OSHA stuff?
I think Charlie would like to do that.
Okay, so,
I was gonna start hitting everybody.
But I don't think it was just OSHA either. I think it also had to do with the stormwater and other things.
well, if they want to make another account, we should probably separate it. If it's the watershed
Yeah.
stuff, then we can do that.
Is there a plan to make another account this year for this fiscal season coming up?
You want to do a separate account for stormwater management and for
I think,
OSHA? Charlie would like to do those this year.
Again, I think I'm trying, obviously this is going to be more Steve than anybody else. We need to get a better sense of how much of this is going to be capital and how much of this is going to be operated. In that, for instance, he's going to have to clean out these storm sewers and such along the roads on a more frequent basis. That's an operation, but maybe also capital. And it's a material amount such that he hasn't included, I think, any report really in my mind. He has not sufficient funds in the regular highway budget. And also, since this is going to be mandated by the feds in the state, I want a separate line item so that
Yeah.
Steve understands that I don't need future highway surveyors rating the line item or do something else with it.
So would the new line that's created for all this ongoing OSHA training that's going to be required for every department be rolled up into one department, say under you, or would it be?
It's probably going to be, we may add, either it will be lines such as we do for the recruitment employment training budget, it's our normal training, or we'll add it to that, or we'll keep it separate. I think keep it separate because we're dealing with probably on an annual basis some capital expenses also. And again, I want to
And we do the OSHA
Yeah.
back, so it would be under the jurisdiction of Charlie.
It's just someday a class action lawsuit by all towns to
So-
have it separated. What we've had to spend over the years on their mandates.
some of the department expense accounts did not have an increase. Are we gonna come up short because of the social training, because they did not cover that?
No, because I think what we're gonna do is we'll put this into, and I think it's gray in the sense of, because I haven't been able to spend enough time with all the departments yet to get a better handle also, getting information from the state exactly what we're gonna be needing to do in the next 12 months. And that's the intent of, in fact, having a separate line item, so that if the department finds itself needing to spend money on OSHA, that they don't suddenly say, well, wait a minute, we didn't budget for that. And I'll say, well, that's fine, because we have this line item specifically for that reason. And again, the reason we have the recruitment account is, and this was 15 years ago at least, was the same problem. This was back when we had to run ads in the Enterprise with the ledger, and we were running them at $300 a pop. And you had departments that didn't have $300 sitting in their expense account, even for a newspaper ad. And so we said, well, it's fine. We'd have one line item. And the thing is, on a year-to-year basis, a department, whether it's the library or the highway or anything, might not hire anybody. So they never put money aside for that. So what we did was say, okay, we'll cover it by the line that covers everything for these departments for next time. It's not less expensive, because Express is a lot less expensive than the Enterprise, but nevertheless, that's how we feel. Same thing with physicals. We don't, people don't budget for the physicals for their employees, because now we have a separate line item for that.
Do you think that would be something that would get resolved for this budget season?
Yes.
I'd like to rescind my motion then.
It makes sense.
We should buy. So we've covered everything that was a decrease or level.
Or level, and then we did public safety.
Yeah, we did public safety. We did
we're gonna
police, fire we didn't go through fire entirely.
We
A couple
did.
we left out.
We left
There
out
were
their
two, this one and the fire, I think it was fire, where we approved the increase
Fire
for
talked
OSHA
about the
reasons.
OSHA.
Yeah.
And so it'd be
he
those
included
two
that.
that I'd like to
Yeah.
rescind my motion.
Okay, wait, so
I
we,
can't remember if we left them or voted them, to be honest with you.
I marked that we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
all right.
So I rescind my motion for,
So make a motion for the finance committee to remove its recommendation for a particular line, and then we can second and then vote on them.
okay.
We've already
I thought
had
I
a
was
vote.
doing that. I make a motion to rescind my motion to approve line 80 in the amount for highway expense in the amount of, is that the right one?
Yes.
$6,771.
Okay, so we haven't voted that, so that's fine. You've rescinded that motion.
Yeah.
So that line stays blank. But on the fire line, that one is fire line 54, fire training.
Right.
We didn't vote that line.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
So we're
Yeah,
fine.
we left that one out because it was talking about additional time. So,
Yeah.
I mean, given that we still have to look at wage and personnel's recommendation
Yeah.
and figure out the bottom line impact of where we stand, is there some, do we want to keep going on any increases?
I mean, philosophically,
I thought, sorry.
it's okay.
Oh, you're right, we didn't vote it. What kind of
I
vote?
wouldn't leave you on the hook, Bill, I promise.
Okay.
I think the only reason I would say to move forward with some of the increases is to just, every time we do, we get the picture a little bit clearer for us as
Well,
we consider the
I mean,
bigger ones.
this summary sheet has
Yeah.
what's requested, right?
Yeah.
So,
So, I mean, we're getting closer to brass tacks, essentially. I'm fine with leaving off the big hitters until we get a little bit more information on things. I think it was good to do the stuff we did tonight. The little minor increases are the ones we've had chances to ask
yeah,
the department heads about the rationale. I'm happy to hold for now. We're gonna get more information at our next meeting too on Monday from some of the other departments.
Yeah, and let's you get home and get some rest and
yeah.
rest your
Yeah, we're good,
voice
'cause my kids
and
sick
be able
too,
to
so-
teach, right? You won't be able to teach anybody tomorrow. And Charlie's hoping
We're on,
I get it,
we're
so
on
I don't
spring
fall.
break.
Oh,
Great time to get sick.
Yeah,
I gotta
right?
go home.
Oh, you're on spring break? That's right.
Yeah. Going wild.
Yeah.
All right, public participation.
I think I've done enough.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion?
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We'll adjourn at 9:05 PM. Thank you so much, everybody. We got a lot done.
You guys